China trade war 1.0 hit corporate profits, but the 2.0 version is going to hit Main Street. I'm talking about your mortgage, I'm talking about your grocery bills, and I'm also talking about job security, not to mention your 401k, your 403b plan, and your pension. So China's latest move, plus U.S. tariff plans, equals a supply choke, not just a headline. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how this all is going to impact people just like us on Main Street. And maybe more importantly, how we together can protect our wallet. Let's do a quick flashback and see why this time it's going to be different with Trade War 2.0. The 2018 tariffs cost households hundreds of dollars, but that's an important place to mark, hundreds of dollars. But now the stakes are a little bit higher. We're talking AI chips, we're talking about electronics, we're talking about a whole nother realm of products. Throw in rare earths and you get the picture. Beijing isn't just dumping steel. They are restricting a very important mineral that is going to affect almost all of our electronics, from planes to phones to electronic vehicles. You get the picture. If you felt the pinch of 2021 inflation, you'll want to catch this next episode, and if you want more people to see this video, go ahead and hit like so YouTube will push it out to more people just like you. I want to remind you that China right now does control the refining capacity for rare earth minerals and why it matters. If you remember John D. Rockefeller, he was the guy who founded Standard Oil. He understood that he did not need to own all the oil. What he really needed to do was control refining capacity. If you control refining capacity, then you actually control the product. China is taking a page right from J.D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil Company and doing exactly the same, but they're doing so with 17 rare earth minerals that are critical to almost every aspect of our electronic age. These electronics show up in EVs, they show up in your cell phones, they show up in electronic vehicles. You get the picture. And the point is that the United States right now is kind of caught flat-footed on this. Not saying they won't try to fix it, but it's going to take a little bit of time and cause us all a little bit of pain. So while the West is starting to dig, 80% of the refining capacity is right now controlled by China and China alone. And the crazy thing about it, even domestic production of these rare earth minerals is reliant on Chinese refineries. That yes, folks, stuff is actually taken from the United States, sent to China, refined, then sent back, and that's not a really good place to be. And of course, we know these costs are going to be passed right on to Main Street, like no doubt about it. Because tariff bumps just don't stay on spreadsheets. Those costs get passed on, and those costs are real. Every 1% of effective tariff can be passed right on to the average house inside the United States. So these tariff bumps just don't stay on the spreadsheets, as I'm reminding you. They actually get passed into transport costs, they get passed into shelf prices, and they're going to hit every single one of us here on Main Street. And as a result, small manufacturers right here in the United States are going to wind up having to freeze their wages, maybe increase their healthcare costs, because the fact is, these things are very real. And for the manufacturer to stay in business, somebody's got to help take up the slack, and it's going to be Main Street. So all of a sudden you see that $900 appliance now becomes a $960 appliance. That car repair goes up even more, and of course, the new car prices, well, you get the picture. But there's also an AI angle that you really need to pay attention to, because an AI build out means chips plus magnets plus specialized materials. Restrict those things and the price of doing business on the cloud all increases tremendously. And of course, this means price your services, and price your services trickle on to people like us on Main Street. There will be a slower AI hardware flow, and that delayed productivity is going to affect us all over again. Refined inputs, well, that affects data centers, of course. And if you have a data center popping up in your neighborhood, hit like and subscribe, because people need to hear this news just like you. And of course, that like and subscribe will push that information out so more of us are aware of really what's going on here. So I'm not saying that a stock market crash is imminent as much as I'm saying that a lot of these things are signaling the same direction. And when things are all pointing the same direction, it's something that's really important for people like us to pay attention to. Tariffs equal increased prices. When the yield curve is inverted, well, you know that's also a warning sign and a pretty accurate predictor that there may be a recession coming. And of course, when there's trade friction between the United States and anybody, particularly a big trading partner like China, well, you can read the tea leaves and you realize that there's more going on here than meets the eye. So an Ohio machine shop, for instance, now has prices increased 12% just for that machine shop. What does that mean? Well, it means that wages are going to freeze, healthcare costs are going to go up, and that manufacturer is going to struggle to survive. And in some cases, they may need to cut employees. That owner delayed some of his CNC purchases, right? New equipment, even though we know that there's a tax incentive for that new equipment. And of course, what's happening in the meantime, that order backlog is starting to slip a little bit. Customers simply decide to wait just a little bit longer for those purchases. Multiply that across towns throughout the United States, Canada, and the rest of the Anglosphere. It's a slower service, fewer hours, and higher prices. So what do people like us do on Main Street? Well, we're always fighting the battle, and what does Main Street really have? I want to make sure that we're understanding that I'm always rooting for Main Street because the bottom line is Main Street is loaded with survival skills. Maybe it's one of the most important things that we've figured out along the way. So chances are you're going to delay those big ticket purchases just a little bit more. And hey, personally, I have found myself on YouTube figuring out how to repair things that I didn't know I had the capacity to, but necessity made me go to YouTube and search for those repairs before I did anything else like buy a big ticket price item. And of course, as always, we always recommend a 3 to 6 month cash buffer because you never know when you're going to need cash. The other piece is diversifying your income. And if I could say that you're talking about your investment income and of course, diversifying yourself, not just a job, but a side hustle is not a bad place to be. And if you have investments, make sure those investments are diversified as well and ones that are going to do well when there could be a slowdown in the entire market. And of course, have cash, have treasury bills, and of course, look for the right opportunity where your money's going to work hard for you and you're not going to work so hard for your money when it comes to the market. Don't do these things. Don't assume that prices are just going to return back to normal. This could very well be the new normal. Don't chase hot AI exposures until you really know that there's going to be a workable model with that AI, particularly if you're talking about the stock market. And don't expect your advisor to call you and give you a heads up because you're the little guy and the little guy usually gets warned last, not first. And a quick note, if you're developing a defensive posture, then life insurance is a must. I personally use Policy Genius because Policy Genius has provided me with various insurance options that suit my need. And I don't know about you, but peace of mind for me means I'm taking care of the people that I care about most. And if I can take care of my family, then I know I'm doing the right thing. So get a free quote from Policy Genius today. You will not be disappointed. It's listed in the description, and we can go ahead and give yourself just a little bit more peace of mind with a free quote from Policy Genius. So former Fed executives refer to recessions as mini trade shocks, and you want to be aware of that because each one has the capacity to be disruptive and slow the economy down. And every time we miscalculate how a supply chain is disrupted, well, it shows up at the dinner table for people just like us. So we have a couple of options. One of them is to hope and to pray for something to change. And I'm not against praying, but I also want to make sure that the people on this channel are taking decisive action to prepare for the future. And part of that preparation really is about being aware. And being aware does wonderful things because you are on the front foot, ready to take action and not reacting. Next story, we're going to zoom out and take a look at the Ukraine-Russian war and see how it's impacting markets back here, how it's going to influence the United States, and maybe some of the hidden opportunities that are available right in front of our eyes in Eastern Europe. And remember, make sure you are liked and subscribed to the Economic Report. I provide this on a regular basis, do lives, and of course, I can make sure that these are shipped right to your inbox. Remember, folks, the biggest battle you're fighting is the one between your ears over your thoughts, your actions, and your attitude. Say hi to somebody. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it changes the world in a positive way. I'll catch you next episode. Thank you.